and you're very welcome to another Women's Rugby Pod. I'm Johnny Hammond. We've got Rachel Burf, the World Cup winner, alongside, and we have a brilliant show ahead for you again this week. We are choosing our Six Nations team of the tournament. And if it wasn't enough to have Rachel Burf, the Red Roses star, the World Cup winner, as I say, selecting, we have Ali Donnelly, the Queen of Scrum Queens, and Sara Orchard, the BBC commentator, joining us to choose what will be a hotly debated 15. This is the Women's Rugby Pod. So then, Burf, how super was Super Saturday for you?
Oh no, I loved it. I loved the build up, the excitement of it. Was lucky enough to be at the England game to be a part of that. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed the kind of build up to what Super Saturday all meant.
I mean, it sounds like you're out with the girls celebrating.
I was cheering the girls on.
Only just finished celebrating, have you?
No, I'll be honest, it's not what I wish it was, going out and enjoying it. No, it wasn't. I don't know, I've just woken up and I've got like a croaky voice, got tour voice without the tour.
But look, disclosures aside, please drink responsibly out there, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. Don't take after our Red Roses star. No, look, it was a huge congratulations to England. I debated all week who was going to win, who wasn't going to win, and in the end, stats got the better of me, and I'm not sure what I went for, but I went for an England win. Huge congratulations to them. It was a game to grind out, but England-France games have become like that in the last 4 or 5, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, and I was like you, Johnny. I was like, will England be able to do it? I thought France were really hot at the moment during this tournament, certainly been a standout. But yeah, as you say, it kind of came down to that resilience that England have built up over those close losses that France have had against them. And France had so many opportunities and so many chances, and it was almost like the time was ticking. It was like, you're not going to get another chance, and England are going to grind it out. But yeah, they deserved the win in the end.
10 points to 6 for Emily Scarrett's side on the day at the Twickenham Stoop, bathed in sunlight. BBC Two. We will talk just very, very briefly about the tournament as a whole with Ali and Sara a little bit later when they come on the pod. But just gives it just a little bit more thought about England, Burf. If you're Simon Middleton, come tomorrow morning, and the dust has truly settled, what marks out of 10? How impressed would you have been with the tournament as a whole?
I think there'll be patches that he's pleased with and moments that, they've had a chance to look at a couple of new players, a few new combinations. But I think overall they'll be quite disappointed about their display over the 3 games. I think every game they've played, they've mentioned they've not been able to perform for the full 80. They know that they can do better. They know they can improve. And I think that's very much what the coach will be thinking as well, that they didn't put their best foot forward, that we know how England can actually play. So I think there'll be a lot of fix-ups. There'll be a lot of good and positives. Nobody's going to look back and think, oh, how England won that game. They're just going to remember that they won it. So there's that element to it, that mentality side of things, and finding a way to win and grinding it out and not cracking under the moments of pressure that there were plenty of. I think there'll be plenty of positives, but I think as a whole, they probably expected themselves to perform a lot better throughout the whole tournament.
Brilliant. I just smiling there because it's like Doc Cotton talking about rugby. It's brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a strange turn this week. We've got Doc Cotton on the pod. Sorry. But that's, what an amazing place to be. It's a third title, clean sweep, whether people are calling it a Grand Slam or not. Effectively it is, isn't it? And that's third one in a row. But I agree with you. I think they are very much looking at performance, and there will be some areas where they, that's just not quite right. And actually, therefore, that World Cup being pushed back again is not a bad thing. France, for you?
I just feel quite let down by them from that last game. It's just quite frustrating, and I can imagine being the French coach and how many opportunities they can create for themselves. They've got so much talent, like individual talent, and you can see that throughout the tournament actually they were coming together really, really well. And it came down to they don't travel very well. They don't normally play, apart from that autumn game against England. They struggle to play away from home against England. So it kind of had all those thoughts in my mind, like, will they turn up? Won't they turn up? And then, it just didn't stick for them. We've been talking about Bouillard and Boujard.
That's right, Doc. Burf.
They were dropping balls. Things weren't clicking for them. Whereas throughout the previous two games, they've been looking sublime and brilliant. And it's just moments like that things didn't seem to click. And I don't know if it comes down to that pressure, of England always just beating them, or, not being able to finish things off, and mistakes happening, and, moments that are really, really important. They still can't seem to actually execute in those times. So I think, quite disappointed that they kind of not kicked on from that perspective. Okay.
In the third place final, Ireland ran out winners 25 points to 5. If we equate the amount of chat with the amount of skill on display, we'll just have a brief chat. So what did you make of it? It was very stop-starty. It was a lot of drop balls, a hell of a lot of whistle going on. I have to say, it's a fairly painful watch, if I'm brutally honest.
Well, I think, it's kind of the last game in the tournament. I was obviously saying I felt Italy had performed well enough to be able to turn Ireland over. But then in the back of my mind, I was thinking, it's the third week on the row. Are they in a position where they've got that kind of fitness level and that mentality to be able to continue with that effort and that performance? And in Ireland, were extremely hurting on the back of that France loss, and they wanted to put themselves into a performance in a position where they can actually reflect on how they have been training, how they've been working. So I think Ireland would be really, really happy. Not obviously with the France result, but to win 2 out of 3, and they've had an extremely difficult block together. Same with Italy. But I think Italy can be pretty proud of their own performances. The way that they played against England, probably some people will say the best rugby of the tournament was played by them at times. So I think, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but I think both teams, based on preparation and, time together, etc., they will probably be quite pleased with parts and elements of their tournaments.
Yeah, I think I'll be very pleased to finish up third, won't they, after a sort of substandard performance the week before against France. And up in Scotstoun, it was even sunny up there. 27 points to 20 against Wales. And they went and saved the best for last.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, we've got all sorts of voices going on tonight. I thought I'd chuck some singing in as well. No, it was much improved from both of them.
Yeah, I think both teams obviously will gun in all the way to the 80th minute and beyond, as you were mentioning beforehand. And look, I think Siwan Lillicrap summarised it to the squad really well. You saw messages going around on social media around how, they're gutted by the result, but that they are laying a marker of that is the start for them, and that they want to push on as a group of players and as management as well. And it's just the beginning for them. And they know that they're way off the mark. They know that they're not in a position to be ultra competitive, but it's not somewhere where they want to stand still. So, look, I think there's still big things to come from Wales. There's been a lot of chatter around what's happening and what's not been happening. And look, for Scotland, it was a really well-deserved win. We've seen, again, they probably haven't had the best tournament that they could have. We've seen them play a lot better. And, maybe we're putting so much expectation on teams that haven't had the same amount of preparation. They haven't had a domestic league to play in. And we're kind of expecting them to pick up where they left off without all the usual rugby under their belt. But I think they'll walk away from that game really, really proud of the efforts. And, all the teams have put in so much effort, haven't they? All the sacrifices and the changes. So I think everybody should be holding their head proud, whatever the results were during this tournament, based on the situation that they've been in.
Yeah, 100%. And women's rugby is a victim of its own success, because everyone outside of England has an element of amateurism to them. It's only France who have any sort of smidgen of professionalism. 7 Scotland players in total, but most of them weren't sort of involved. So these are amateurs, and we expect such good performances, and actually, once in a while you go, oh, hang on, these are amateurs. These are men in 1994. That's actually what you've got to equate it to. So, we take that in mind. It was a thoroughly enjoyable game, and Rachel Malcolm is a broadcaster of the future.
Yeah, I heard she was brilliant with you. She was really, really good.
Yeah, she's very good. Very, very good. Lovely voice, and a lovely lady. But we wish her all the best of getting back on the park, because they will need her in the coming months. Anyway, enough of Dot and I. Let's get into our team of the Six Nations. I know our regular listeners will remember this from last year, and thoroughly enjoyed by you guys. We like to get Scrum Queens, so this is coming to you in association with our great friends at Scrum Queens. And we thought, this year we'll just mix it up a little bit and get Sara on. She's been doing a lot of the commentary and stuff as well. So let's get into our 2021 Women's Six Nations team of the tournament with Sara Orchard and Ali Donnelly. Very good evening to you, ladies. BBC 5 Live's Sara Orchard.
Evening.
And Women's Rugby Queen of Scrum Queens, Ali Donnelly. How are we both?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me on. And alongside Ali, I feel like I'm just sort of next to real royalty here. This is special.
Yeah. Ditto.
We have, we've cleared the top end of the table for this evening's Six Nations team of the tournament. Yeah, it's a highbrow women's rugby table. This is. Thank you so much for joining us. What was a really, really busy week. We're going to get into that team, a combined WRP and Scrum Queens team. But I just wanted to get your thoughts, all three of you. So I'm going to sort of play Seal of Black for a moment and ask A, B, and C. What's your favourite drink? And no. Ali, what did you make of the Six Nations on the field? So the play and the team performances.
Yeah, by the way, some of your younger listeners have no idea who you're talking about when you say something.
I was just thinking that.
Holly
Get your
Willoughby
mothers to explain.
Yeah. On the field, I think the finale worked very well. I think, on the positive side, it was great. The games were played in great weather. I think that made a huge difference, actually. It just felt more enjoyable. It was good to watch. For those of us who were lucky enough to go to some of the games, it was really good. The competitiveness of the games on the field was disappointing, obviously. Huge score lines, and, I don't think that really helped. I'm sure we'll get into that a bit later. But I thought the finale was brilliant. I mean, it was just the kind of game that I like, which is hugely physical, a slightly purist game. But it was a good finale, really tight game, really needed that match to be tight. I think, I wouldn't, if I was giving it marks out of 10 on the field this year, maybe sort of 6.5, I think, 7.
Nice. Sara, your marks out of 10 and general thoughts of the tournament as a whole on the field?
Okay, I probably am not going to pick up many friends during this conversation, so I apologise in advance, because I have to be honest, and I was really disappointed with the pool stage. I really thought there were so many times where I thought this is going to be the game that really kickstarts the Six Nations, and each time it was just a bit like, the score lines were just too big. And this is what you don't want in competitive sport, because the narrative was too predictable, and I did find that disappointing. Having said that, the grand final weekend was brilliant. It was a great setup. Everyone was very well matched. I know there was perhaps a slight runaway in the end for Ireland against Italy in their game, but I just thought overall that quality of that last weekend, the build-up, the excitement was brilliant, and how it built to that moment was very good. The final itself, I have to admit, I also have higher expectations of both England and France. They can both play better than that, especially on a dry day. And I'm fascinated to see how their next test goes on next Friday night. I mean, that will be huge. But I don't think either of them will look back and think they played their best rugby. It was brutal. And as Ali says, brutal can be brilliant, but they can play better.
Rachel?
No, I don't disagree with both of the ladies. I think one thing I think we did see is just some new talent and some new little sparks come out. So from Ireland, some of the Sevens girls that came across and slotted in very well and actually, bolstered that side. So I think, as a whole, I don't think we saw the production of what we know can be produced by all the teams. I think obviously COVID has hit. Preparation hasn't been great. Opportunities to even play any rugby leading into this tournament. Some of the teams haven't. That suited some teams like Italy, who played some of their best rugby. But I think, I have to agree, was disappointed with the score lines and you kind of was so excited to see, Ireland play France after the way they played against Wales. And then it was quite a letdown. But the Super Saturday weekend, I want that to stay. Like, I want the old format back. We all go play each other. And then I want a Super Saturday because I just think it just had such a good build up to it. Everybody was kind of talking about all the games and the excitement, the build up, the coverage that it got all over that day. So I'm for the Super Saturday.
Yeah, and you're across most of it, Burf. So it's amazing how thin you can spread yourself.
My voice is gone.
That's why your voice is gone. It's called karma. So we're keeping. I mean, I had a word with a couple of Alakadoos at the RFU last week, and asking opinions, which I think is really, really important to ask from all different parts of the game about what do we reckon about this format. I said, which I think most of us have kind of voiced, haven't we? We're not on the stage to be able to be taking test match away from teams.
Yeah.
But we like the Super Saturday, right? It's different. It adds a real buzz. Does it not, Ali?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are some teams in Six Nations barely play outside of that window anyway. So, removing games from those teams, I think is not a good thing. I mean, I think we wrote something today on the website about decisions have to be taken now about what's going to happen next. And I think I haven't heard anybody say they think it should go back to being in February, March. I think we've got to just decide that now. This got to be in April, hopefully in May as well. And then the decision around formats has to be taken, right? So, we could probably talk for hours about why those score lines were so huge. But I do think some kind of crescendo building finale is the way forward, because that's what's going to generate interest in what is still, let's be honest, a growing sport. I also think being on free to air television, I know Sara BBC got knocked a little bit from various places for putting it all on the iPlayer behind programs in the lead up, but having that game on BBC Two on the final weekend is huge. And I think Brian Moore wrote today, didn't he, that there was around 600,000 watching, comparison to sometimes a Premiership match on BT being triple the size of it. So huge moment. So some really interesting decisions have to be taken out, and I really hope the organisers are brave enough and they go for it, and they don't sort of just kind of fall back into what we know and what's tried and tested.
Go on, Sara.
Well, I was just going to back up what Ali said there. I actually did an interview today with Bill Sweeney, who's the chief executive at the Rugby Football Union, backing up a lot of what Ali's just said. The RFU have said they want to really keep that April-May window. They recognise the weather is a massive factor in that, but also you heard so many players and unions and backroom staff saying they had so much more support because they weren't competing with the men at the same time. I mean, in particular, for me as a commentator, and Johnny, you might have found this as well, for me, the access and the resources I was given, particularly by Ireland, blew my mind. They just did everything they had done for the men's team in the Six Nations, but transferred it to the women for their media output. And that for me was just brilliant compared to if you go back, let's say 5 years, Johnny, you'll have been there with me trying to find profiles of women or just finding out what their age is can be hard work. I really think that was strong.
Yeah, caps would be a start, wouldn't it? With in some places, but no. And what else off the field then has impressed, not impressed Burf? We talk about the predictors, the fantasy, the we've spoken a little bit about the window and the format. I think we'd probably cover that off. We'd like to talk about it all night long, wouldn't we? All of us could, couldn't we? We could say it for talk for weeks about it. But other bits that impressed or didn't quite impress.
Well, I think you mentioned there like the match pipe predictor and the fantasy league. I think we had to find other ways to engage fans, and I think that did that certainly, because I think not just during the games that we had people talking about the game and talking about players. It then built into the week, people talking about who they're going to pick, who they're not going to pick. Now they know other players' names. Now they've got some stats so they can actually know what these players are like, instead of just kind of seeing the standout names. You can actually go, oh, Rigoni, look at all her carries, look at all her tackles, and actually, have some real passion behind other teams and other individuals. So I loved all of that. I thought it was a really, really good move, because it just generated so much more talk and interest about all the games, not just the team that you would support, you care, rightly or wrongly. If it's just for your fantasy league at the moment, it will build into now becoming a regular fan and being a part of it. So yeah, I loved all of that side of things.
I think as well, just off the back of that, is the media coverage. I've been, for better or worse, involved in the Women's Six Nations as a writer in some way or shape or form for about 20 years. I started out as the PRO when I was a student of the Irish women's rugby team, and I was trying to get coverage then, and now I'm writing about it. And I've never seen anything like this, in that I actually got a little bit stressed out because there was so much coverage I wasn't reading, because there was so many podcasts, so many articles. I started I couldn't even consider doing the fantasy team. That would just stress me out altogether.
Oh my God, I can't believe you didn't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. But I've never seen so much coverage, and not just, amongst the usual suspects. You always get decent coverage, say from the Irish Times, from the Telegraph, BBC during the tournaments. This was everywhere and in every country, and that felt really game-changing to me.
I think perhaps also touching on what you talked about originally there, Johnny, about the good and the bad. I am not going to name names in this example, but it did expose where some unions are lacking when it comes into the resources that are needed in their women's programs. And I don't necessarily just mean on the field. It was very apparent, the unions who were behind in not recognising that there was no men's international rugby in this window. They had a real opportunity to exploit it. And there were perhaps one or two unions who didn't take that and are perhaps maybe looking at this now and going, we really missed out here. We've got to raise our game, or at least that's what we hope.
And I think it snowballed effect, didn't it? Even from the Six Nations organisers on the sort of broadcasting type side as well. Their game got better and better and better as they realised that how much sort of attention was being drawn to it. In a taxi early Sunday morning, and the chap obviously asked why I was coming up and what have you, and he said I'd never watched a game of women's rugby before, and I watched it on BBC Scotland, and I said, yeah, what did you make of it? And he was really, really, really impressed. Couldn't quite believe how hard the ladies were hitting each other and all the rest of it. And that's exactly the type of person we're trying to attract. And if it is on the terrestrial, I said it last week, fair play for getting it out there. That needs to be sorted earlier. Fixtures need to be sorted earlier. Broadcast deals need to be sorted earlier. And I think there's a lot more you could do on the broadcast side if we're just having a little neg. No rant this week, Burf, don't worry. Just a little nag. I think there's a lot more that can be done there, and pull in the resources that are possibly there already. But no, those are the kind of people we wanted to attract. Just back to the predictor. How'd you get on, Sara, in the Legends League?
Well, let's look at this from 2 points of view, Johnny. There was the Match Point Legends League, where I think I was doing very well, and then I just tumbled. I think I might be 10th, 8th, 10th. You probably know Johnny, so I don't.
Really? You're tucking in with Rocky, next to Rocky.
Okay. And what a great place to be. It's a safe place. I'd quite happily tuck in with Rocky anytime. Not a problem.
Very safe.
But Johnny, where did you finish in our fantasy league that we did?
What's that? Anyway, let's move on.
The one that I finished top of. That one. Thank you. That one. There we go.
Fantasy League. Was there a fantasy league? Was there?
Yeah, one takes a lot more time and thought. The other one's just a quick number that you write down on the back of a fag packet.
You've summed me right up, Sara. There you are. Job done. Man, can't think about anything for too long. Lily, we would like to chat about it more, but no doubt we will in the build up to next year's. But let's get into a team of the tournament. One of our most highly rated and most listened to pods, Alison Donnelly, last year's team of the Six Nations. So it's a popular occasion, and as I say, at the very top of this, we've got some proper clout. So let's start at fullback. Who would like to take a long run up at fullback?
We're all going to have the same name, surely. Should we all say it at the same time?
1, 2, 3.
Emily
Boulard.
Boulard.
Yeah.
Is it Emily? I thought it was Caroline. No, it's Caroline Boulard.
Yeah, Emily.
Give me lards.
We're not on
Boulards.
the wing yet.
We're not on the wing yet.
Yeah.
You know,
Boulard.
I did mention Jazz in my list though, just how she performed defensively.
On the wing.
Yeah.
Oh.
She made some good meters in that last game as well. But yeah. Did you read that?
She's unbelievable.
The scale.
230. And
Ridiculous.
she's so brave as well for a wee little thing. Well, look, let's move seamlessly like a ski sock to the wing. I'm going to chuck in Jazz Joyce. I put Jazz Joyce down for an option on the wing. I thought she was outstanding.
I didn't put Jazz Joyce in. Obviously, she did miss a game because she went back to GB7s. So sorry about that, Jazz. Are we going to both wings or do you want one?
Let's chuck in all the names you got, and we'll decide on two wingers from there.
I went for Impact, and I went for Boulard and Parsons.
Me too. Same.
Yeah, I've got both of them down too, but I also put Falan.
Yeah,
I
she was
thought she
very
really
good.
stepped up this tournament. I thought she played really well on the wing, much better than she played at fullback.
Yeah, she is a quality player. Has been so consistent for them as well. I have her as well, but I did go with Boulard and Parsons.
Yeah,
It is scary how good Parsons is going to be, isn't it? It's just
young.
crazy. It's crazy.
She's still only 12 and a half.
Yeah.
She's young.
Yeah.
She's incredibly athletic and physical for her age as well
Yeah.
already. So yeah, she's good. She's going to be a real star. Yeah.
Yeah,
Proper athlete. Are you? Yeah, I absolutely got Parsons, Boulard, and Jazz Joyce here. Are you? Where are we going then, Burf? Are you happy with Boulard and Parsons?
yeah, they were both my first names, and Falan was.
Are they? I thought it was Rachel.
Yeah.
In the centres.
I have to deal with this all the time.
I'll kick off the centres because I found them really hard this year. So at 12, I've got either Rigoni, who was very good in one of the games, and Hannah Jones, who I think has been brilliant. And at 13, you could have Jones there as well, or Hannah Smith, but she missed a game. And then I had a big debate about Scarrett because she has been really good, but by her own standards, not like amazing. But her standards are higher than everybody else's. So then I sort of got really confused.
She made what? 3 mistakes, you're out.
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, on a serious note,
I'm with you.
These, crazy expectations of her just to do something spectacular all the time. So then when she doesn't, you think she's had a quiet game, but of course she's been really good. But yeah, I don't know. Jones, Rigoni, Scarrett, Smith are my 4. But Rachel, you're the centre here, so you should know.
Well, I had Rigoni. I think she's been quality, and she's just always a solid player for them anyway, even if she's not scoring a bag of tries and getting a team on the front foot. I also had Jones down. I think she's just been so brave, and her work rate is just so strong for Wales and gets them out of a lot of trouble and tidies up a lot for them. And I did have Skaz as well. And I was thinking by her standards, she wasn't kind of that standout, but still was brilliant throughout the tournament. So yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, can you imagine a team of the tournament or of the year and it not having Skaz in it though?
I know. That's exactly it.
Can I be honest?
Let's do it.
If we're being harsh here, I've not even written Emily's name down on my list.
I'm with Sara.
For impact, she just wasn't there, and she will be the first to admit that. She has a presence, she has an aura, but she can play better than that, particularly in the final. She knows she can. So she didn't make my list. Apologies, Scouts.
She probably wants to cut down on the media work. She's probably concentrating too much on the media podcast and stuff.
I hope she is.
Go ahead.
And
It's gone to her head.
I can't wait for her to prove us wrong. I can't wait for it. That's what we want.
Yeah.
So what I really wanted to do was play Helen Nelson at 12 and push Rigoni out to 13. But I can't do that because I thought Helen Nelson, she's 100% kicker in this tournament as well. So
Yeah,
I
picked her at 10. Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
So I kept Rigoni at 12 and then, I agree. Hannah Jones.
Because I think Hannah Jones, I think she really deserves to be in there. I mean, you remember the game against France where they were just hammered. She was unbelievable defensively.
Kept going.
Tackling everything, even over the line, yeah.
Centre Queen, if you don't mind, let's just open up to 10 then, because to work out the whole of the midfield, because I'm like you, so Helen Nelson I think is in there. Hannah Jones is certainly on my list, and Rigoni was there on the list. So if you're saying Helen Nelson at 10, Rigoni Jones, is that what I'm hearing from you, Ali?
That was mine, yeah.
Oh, Sara Orchard.
Very defensive. 10, 13.
I had put an honourable nod to Tyrrell at 10 as well. But Nelson. If I can't have her in 12, then she can have 10. She flipped in and out, so
The problem with the Ireland is that both Flood and Tyrrell had one amazing game each, and then half and half. So it's really hard to pick them.
Yeah. I put both of them down second. I did actually have Nelson at 10. I had Johnnie. Is that right?
Yeah.
Druin. Yeah, I thought she was just quite a key cog. Like defensively, she worked really well. But I'm happy to step aside.
This is the one area you do very much get the casting vote. So all eyes on you.
no pressure.
No pressure.
We need to hear some debate.
Oh, right. Okay. Well,
Helen,
I really think you should put Helen Nelson down.
Great sound.
I'm going to strongly word an argument for Hannah Jones at 13. She was superb. She moved to 12 at the weekend.
Yeah.
She led the side really well. I'm not sure she's the biggest talker, but boy, oh boy, she puts everything into everything that she does. And she's so combative. I thought she was really, really good. Do we nail her down at 13 then? Can we do that?
Yeah. Hannah Jones, 13.
Yeah. I've just put someone other than
I think if we'd had the full tournament, you'd have this conversation is easier because you build off your 10, but everybody was just in and out over the 3 games. But yeah,
true.
Totally.
12 then. Your shirt, Burf.
I'm going to stick with Rigoni.
Rigoni.
She was fantastic. Honestly, that game against Scotland, she blew my mind. I've just think she's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at 10 then?
Nelson. I back the women. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
They're pretty good at judging. So.
And she really stepped up, obviously, when Rachel Malcolm got her injury. For her to continue leading that side, that was a lot to take on for her, and the kicking duties and the responsibility. So, really good tournament for her.
I think on 10 as well, I'm really genuinely looking forward to seeing Rowlands over the next few years. I think she's going to be good, obviously, and now Flood and Tyrrell. So there's going to be some really good 10s coming through, but I reckon Nelson was just consistent, wasn't she?
And not only that, it's going to be really interesting if we get a bit geeky now. The fact that Scarrett, Nelson and Rowland are all at Loughborough Lightning, I'd argue one of them's got to move to get more game time and kicking game time, because it's actually going to be quite important going forward for all of them.
Yeah, knowledge.
I don't think Reece Jones will like that comment.
Someone
9 then. I struggled here.
I struggled. This was the hardest one. I don't think anyone really stood out. I thought Catherine Dane for Ireland was pretty consistent throughout the tournament. And if you were just looking for someone who really didn't make any mistakes, you'd go with Dane. But if you want someone who did try things and have a bit of excitement, then I did go with Sansu.
Yeah, I have Riley as well. I mean, I agree. Very tough pick this time. Barton in with a shout too. I think so. I mean, I love Sansu. She's actually my favourite women's player at the moment. I just think she wasn't brilliant in the final, but I just think she's great. It's hard not to pick Riley though. I think she doesn't get a lot of limelight actually for what she does in that England team, and she organises well. I mean, Burf, you know her better, and you've seen her play more, but it's hard. I had her and Sansu as 50-50. Don't know.
Yeah, same. I had the same as you, Ali. I think Leanne's been pretty consistent and had moments of brilliance as well. And obviously with Mo out, she's had to really kind of step up and take that role, because she's kind of been the starting 9 for a while now. But without having somebody on the back of her, I thought she played pretty well throughout the tournament. She was quite quiet in the final, but kind of just did her job, did her role.
She made one amazing tackle, didn't she, on Sansu at one point?
Yeah.
But I do really like Sansu. I agree with you. I think she took a bit of a knock early on in that France game. It just, but yeah, I think every time she gets the ball, you're quite excited by it. Whereas like Leanne's brilliant and she's consistent, but you kind of get that X factor with Sansu. So,
I mean, just to throw a little something into the ring. We've got a backline without one player from the side that have just won a third effective Grand Slam. I mean, should that change
We have
our
very
thoughts?
high expectations.
Jeez, don't you? Yeah.
Well, it's funny though, isn't it? Like, you watched the game at the weekend, and honestly, I forgot Jess Breach was playing until she popped up, and I saw her. Like, she popped up in a tackle with her. She was one of the players who wears the scrunchies. I'd like to talk about the scrunchies another day, by the way. Why are they all wearing scrunchies all of a sudden? Anyway, I thought she was playing, so I think it was the last game wasn't great for either France or England's backlines, right? Because they just they didn't get a goal. Yeah. So maybe not. Well, should we go with Riley then?
I'll bow down to Riley. That's fine.
What did you have, Johnny?
I put Barrett in.
Okay.
Right.
And Jenny Maxwell. No, I didn't know. Not really. No, I agree. There wasn't any standout performance, was there? And actually, possibly, does that say something about the players that that they're getting around and doing their bits? I think, yeah. The loss of Mo is, and Leanne having to start every game, which other people have sort of swapped in and out. But nobody set the world alight at 9. So for the fact that we don't have an English player at the moment, I'm quite happy to go with Leanne Riley at 9.
Done. Sold.
An area of huge expertise across this panel, the front row.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love a bit of front row chat.
Loose head. That's number 1, Burf, all right?
Well, I can start this because I do have an England player here. And it's Nikki Cornbrook, because I do just think she added that maturity to the front row that was actually really needed for England. Also, her carrying, I thought she really stepped up. I mean, there was a lot of England players that stepped up in their carrying, but she was noticeable from previous tournaments. So, yeah, I had Vicky Cornbrook.
Nice.
Not
other names?
Scrum, and don't mention the scrum in the final.
Vicky Cornbrook and her roller skates.
Yeah. You said that, not me.
Gosh,
yeah,
I winced at that. Like I winced at every tackle on Saturday. It was brutal in the stands. Were you guys all in the stands? It was absolute. Honestly, I turned into like a fangirl in the press box because I kept saying, honestly, I obviously have never played international rugby, but I came away going, I wouldn't last 5 seconds in there. I'd be killed. I had the unpronounceable Nael De Hay. Is that De Hay? I thought she was very good at loose head for France. She was cornerstone of their scrum. The scrum was obviously brilliant all tournament. But Cornbrook was my other, and very little between them for me. So I'd happily go with Cornbrook. I thought she for all the reasons you said.
Yeah, I agree. I think she just brings that level of, stability in that scrum for one, but like you said, that maturity and the way she carries, it's ridiculous. She drops 5 inches, gets underneath the opposition, and just manages to leg drive. I think she's such a key asset for that England team as well. And when she's not playing, it's a big noticeable. So I think, I'm nailed on with Vicky Cornbrook as well. No, Johnny?
Oh, go on, Johnny. What did you have?
No, I had De Hay because I know being a former front row, if you go backwards like England did, and they will not be happy, that's their first primary job. are we really going to choose the person that did that to them rather than the person it was happening to? But I totally agree in terms of carrying Vicky Cornbrook.
I totally get that, Johnny, and that is actually why I've gone with 2 other French women in my front row.
Let's say as a whole then.
Are we going to base it all on the scrum, or are we going to look at the rest of the park as well?
No, of course.
Park.
Yeah. The whole of the park, absolutely. But for me, if it's a 50-50, you've got to get job number. Yeah, it's like a hooker. We've got 50-50 hookers. One hasn't hit the lineouts, and one has. Then you choose the one that's hit the lineouts, right?
Yep.
Of course. Okay, well, let's do the front row as a whole then.
Ooh.
So who's the other tie head? So we've got De Gea and Cornbrook tipping it.
Oh, it has to be Bernadou.
Bernadou. There is no one else.
I only got her down.
Yeah, and I do believe my commentary, what Ali was talking about earlier for the Bernadou tackle on Cleo was, that's all I had.
Honestly,
it's amazing.
I was not far away from that, and I winced and closed my eyes. It looked brutal.
We were in line with it. I think you were just sat in front of us, Ali. Yeah,
brutal. I think special mention to Bryony Cleal though. She
I have her down as a special mention too. Yeah. Definitely.
Okay, in the middle.
She was amazing when she got on. She really did. I spoke to her after. She went, I just thought I'm going to hit everything and everything. And I was like, mate, you literally did that. in about a minute, you must have tackled and hit rucks. And yeah, she was good.
And it's nice to see how that competitive nature is going to come out between Shauna Brown and Bryony Cleal for that shirt now. So that's going to be a nice little battle going forward. But yeah, Bernadou.
Yeah, great.
Bernadou in a tie head then. Who's a hooker before we decide the other side of the scrum?
I have Sochet, but an honourable mention to Moloney.
Yeah, I've got Sochet and Moloney.
Yeah, I've gone Moloney as my first choice. I've got a little mention to Lana Skeldon too, who I think's been good.
Yeah.
But I think Moloney, I think Moloney's had a really good tournament. She scored a couple of tries. Line-out's been good. But I wouldn't be gutted if it was Sochet either. She's so consistent. And the line-out was an absolute mess for both teams at the weekend. Yeah.
Didn't want to be a hooker at the weekend, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
Lottery. 2
votes each then.
Who did you have down, Johnny?
I had Lana Skeldon down, and because I thought she's great. She really is a heartbeat of that Scotland side. Can
I tell you why I didn't have Lana Skeldon down? It was because I was up at Scotstoun for that match between Scotland and Italy, and having been so excited about the Scottish line-out against England, which was just so impressive, it just went to pieces against Italy. It was terrible. And I really felt for Lana because she'd had possibly the game of her life against England, and it just didn't happen. It wasn't backed up, and that's why for me she fell away.
So Sochet or Moloney? Skeldon goes. She's been dropped.
Sorry,
mercilessly.
Put her down.
Gone.
Forget your good game against England.
Brutal, this, isn't it? It's more brutal than Super Saturday final. So Moloney or Sochet?
So Moloney for me.
Rachel Burford?
I don't feel like I'm qualified to make this decision. I did have Sochet as my first choice, and Moloney, then Moloney.
And Sara, you had Sochet as well?
Sochet, yeah.
All down to you, Johnny, kind of.
No, well, I was Moloney as well, so I'm just going
to flip a coin.
Make a coin.
Yeah.
And Nick Johnson from High Performance Consultant Director has won, so well done him. We are going Sochet.
Okay.
So they reach the final.
Being is young, she's got plenty of years to be in this team.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Onto our second rows then. A few contenders here. Where should we start? Ali.
Yeah, really hard because I moved around some of them for the back row. So I'm going to.
I think we all have all done that.
Yeah.
I'm just going to. I'll tell you my 4 and 5. So I've gone Allcroft and Fall, and that's because I've got Wall at 6, so that's why Allcroft's at 5. or 4, whichever she is. But there are loads of good locks. Kath O'Donnell, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're my 2, Medusa Fall and Zoe Allcroft. I thought Fall was amazing at the weekend. So good, and was really good as well in other games. And Allcroft just has to be in the team somewhere. So they're my 2.
I did the same as Ali, and I put Allcroft in the second row so I could get Wall into my back row. So completely agree with that. And then for my other lock, I actually put in Aoife McDermott because I just thought she was instrumental to that Irish pack getting go forward. She bossed the line out. And I just thought, she really stepped up. I did also put a little mention to Wassel.
Wassel, yeah.
Sorry, Sara.
That's right. Yeah, just a little mention to Wassel. I thought she did really well.
Yeah.
Any new names to add to that list, Rachel Burfington's?
I literally, same as Ali, Zoe and Fall, and then special mention to O'Donnell, because I think she was so physical the entire tournament. So I wanted to just give a special mention. But yeah, I had Zoe. You can't not have Zoe in the team. And I thought, again, Fall was awesome.
Yeah, Mossel I had as a certainly a mention. Yeah, Fall Allcroft 4-5. Any objections? Fall.
It doesn't work when we shake our heads, and this is a podcast, does it? I've just realised that.
We are.
Funny. We agree.
We agree.
We are a YouTube channel as well, Sara. So don't you worry.
But I listen to you when I'm out on my run, so I need to add to the experience for everyone else who might be out running. So there you go.
Is that like a speaker behind you so you can actually sort of just run away from us, Sara? That's a brilliant tactic. Lovely. Okay, so then 6, 7, 8. Who wants to get Burf? Why don't you kick us off with some back row options?
Poppy at 8.
100%.
Poppy at 8.
Yeah, the one that we'd all
sold.
Sold, and you can't not say her name in Siobhan Lillicrap. I know she only played 2 games, but what she did for that team goes above and beyond. So, but yes, Poppy, number 8.
And it's we often say, isn't it? I say it to my children all the time. It's the things you do when people aren't watching. And I watched her just a couple of times at Scotstoun on Saturday, and she was just doing stuff that just didn't need to do it. Just filling up a little water bottle or going and have that chat at the end and just saying, look, guys, look, this is a start. This is the kind of performance. This is our benchmark, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I think her leadership is absolutely exemplary. But Poppy, clearly, it's absolutely shooing at 8, isn't it?
Yeah.
No objections.
And do you know what's also very nice with Poppy, this Six Nations? I feel that she is becoming one of those real household names that you really want to develop in women's rugby, that everyone gets to know. You start to mention her name, people know who you're talking about. And that's really nice to see emerge, because she's got a cracking personality on her as well to sort of like bring in the media interest as well. So, yeah, that's great.
Who are your flankers, Ali?
Yeah, for 6, definitely Wall. I thought she was amazing. She's not that well known. You know, she's relatively new, even in Ireland, and thought she was brilliant. Like, just young, physical, strong, going to be great for Ireland. So her, undoubtedly. I found 7 really tough, partly because there was so much chopping and changing for teams. I haven't got her in at 6, but Evans as well, by the way, from Wales, I think, but mentioned to her. So my 7, I've got Marley, just because it's Marley and she's brilliant. She's physical and tough and a real, you know, I feel like she could motivate you out of some kind of locked cell. You know, she's just kind of, that's what she's like. She could talk you into stuff. But Ermet as well, I think, was very good. But France Chop changed a lot. It's a bit like Scarrett. Really weird not to be talking about Claire Malloy here. Didn't have her best tournament, got dropped for the last game. So weird. But I'm keen to hear your 7s, because I've got my 6, but not sure about 7.
I've written exactly the same names down as you, Ali. 6 Wall, 7 Packer, 8 Cleo. And I'll be honest, I didn't even actually write down any other names other than Siobhan as an honourable mention. That they, for me, were the standout back row.
Yeah, I've got Packer. I did put Mayans in there for her contribution. Amet. I also had Zoe there just in case she didn't make it in the row. Yeah, it was tough, wasn't it? Because like you say, it just I don't know if it has to do with something. The fact there was only kind of 3 games and there was so much rotation.
Yeah,
that you didn't really get to see the best of everyone.
You say it was tough though. We have got the same 3 names written down, and that just means there's been some brilliant back row play. But yeah, they were standout, definitely. What about you, Johnny?
Emmeline Groh.
yeah,
Just going to throw in there. Yeah, we were talking earlier about sort of unearthing some young talent, and we've spoken about Boulard and a couple of Scotland young players in there, and obviously a couple of Irish as well. But I thought she was very, very impressive, and for a young lady to score a couple of tries against Wales, and she just kept going. She kept terrorising them, and as horrible as that was to see against half of my countrymen, as it were. Actually, I thought she was great. She had that real determination. So I jiggled it around. I had Poppy at 8, Poppy Clear at 8. I had Grow at 6. I had Mayan at 7.
Oh, you were different to us.
Yeah. That's probably why I didn't do so well in the fantasy team, you see. Just Maverick.
Got it.
You're right, though. Grow was very good. In fact, Sarah, when you did that piece last week, I think we mentioned her as one of the kind of newbies to watch out for. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a shame for people who don't know. She missed out on the final because she picked up a shoulder injury. Yeah. So I think maybe that might have pushed it over if she'd have played, but because she missed out on that, I've only seen her play twice. So.
Yeah.
So Dorothy Wall, are we saying a 6? Is that 3 votes for Dorothy Wall?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonder.
We're not nodding anymore.
Agreed.
Yes.
Dorothy Wall. We have got. I'm just checking. We've got an Italian in. Yeah, fine. And 7. We're all happy to go for Mayo.
Marley, I think.
No, Marley Packer, was it?
Packer.
She did miss a game, didn't she, Marley? But yeah.
She did. She didn't travel to Italy, did she? Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah. So my gross argument doesn't work.
I was going to say.
No. just you can edit that out. We'll pretend that never happened. That's fine. Perfect. Right. Not a problem.
Well, nobody told me she had a shoulder injury. She was still in my fantasy team, which is why, I was where I was. No, let's not go back to it. Let's not go back to it. That's our back row then.
We've got a team.
Dorothy Wall, Marley Packer, Poppy Clear is our back row. There's our team. Who's wearing the armband?
Poppy.
Oh.
Now you haven't selected Emily Scarrett.
Poppy.
I'm thinking.
Can you call out the team again? Have you got the team there in front of you, Johnny?
Of course I have. We have Emily Boulard, Caroline Boujard, Hannah Loulard, Hannah Jones, Rigoni, David Parsons, Helen Nelson, Leanne Riley, Vicky Cornbrook, Agatha Sochet, Rose Banadou, Madusu Fall, Zoe Allcroft, Dorothy Wall, Marley Packer, and Poppy Cleo.
I'd give the armband to one of 2 people, either Poppy Cleo, just for leading from the front, or I would give it to Boujard. It's controversial giving it to a wing, but I think she's got the maturity now in that French squad to lead a side.
Helen Nelson, I'm just going to chuck in there.
She'd be up there for me.
Hannah Jones.
I like a 10 to be captain. Yeah, Cleo. I don't know. Is Cleo a good captain material? Right, you know her well. She is. Yeah.
She's clever. She knows the game inside out. Knows like the intricacies. We'll get into the refs here. She's smart like that, and I think she like that. Just that level of how she leads, like the way that she. So I'd make her my captain, and I would make Nelson my vice captain.
That sounds good to me.
I just throwing another little vice captain there. So I like it. The only issue here is that probably becomes slightly less bearable. Winning player of the tournament is probably going to be one thing, but being named in this team and then captain.
Red's going to go like this.
It's her year. This is her year.
It's her year. So, any other names outside of Poppy Cleo, Helen Nelson? Honourable mention for Hannah Jones, but more of a standing captain. Any objections to Poppy Cleo then? Going once, going twice. Where is my gavel, actually? It's upstairs.
Sold.
Sold. And Vice Captain Helen Nelson.
Nice.
Lovely. Okay, so here we are then. The Scrum Queens / WRP with guest Sara Orchard.
That'll do.
At 15. Sorry, what did I have to say? BBC Radio 5 Lives.
That'll do.
Emily Boulard of France is our fullback. Caroline Bougard from the same nation is on one wing. Hannah Jones at 13 from Wales. Beatrice Rigoni from Italy at 12. Bavin Parsons is on the other wing from Ireland. Scotland's Helen Nelson is our vice captain and fly half. Leanne Riley, the 9. A front row, Nikki Cornbrook of England, France's Agatha Sochet, Rose Bernardou, both from France, Badusu Afal and Zoe Allcroft, France and England, make up the second row. Dorothy Wall from Ireland, Marley Packer for Red Rose, and Poppy Cleal make up the back row. Poppy Cleal is also the captain.
Cracking team.
Who are they going to play?
I'm worried about the back line now. I'm worried about the back line. We can't go back.
I worry about backlines all the time at the moment, Ali.
Is there enough in there? Is there enough sparkle in there, Ali?
It's a very defensive, tough 10 to 13, and yeah, it is a bit unusual to have an England player from 10 to 15, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Well, if I'm being harsh here, Ali, the reason we've ended up with a back line like that at the moment is because England are still sorting out their back line big time, and they're very lucky that the World Cup has been delayed by a year and they've got a year to sort it out. I said I wasn't going to make any friends on this podcast, and I'm just being honest. They've got a year to try and figure this out for people to step up or for someone to come through, and I think the back line we've chosen reflects that.
that's a very good point.
I thought Saturday showed just how much they miss Katie. Katie would have just put her foot on the ball and said, hang on. Whoa.
Yeah.
Let's actually let's play in those areas. Let's calm everything down. I'm with you, Sara. I think it's that 10, 12, 13 is or 10, 12, should we say, is a problem. A nice problem, but it's still a problem. Player of the tournament then, just to round things off, or is that fairly obvious with our captain at 8, or is there someone who deserves a mention? Well, the Six Nations have gone for Boulard, Allcroft, and Cleal as their nominations. Is that right?
Yeah.
Does anyone else deserve a mention in there?
I'd have had Wall in the mix. Actually, I think she's been that good. But it's got to be Cleo. I mean, if it's it's a fan vote, which really bothers me, because you might not get who'd really deserve it.
Might not get it.
Yeah, but in reality, and I'm sure Bajar would say this herself, and I'm sure Zoe would too. It's got to be Cleo. It's her year.
Yeah, definitely.
Totally agree. I think there's a maturity to what she's doing now. She's cut away from a little bit of the niggles and that kind of stuff, and actually just really concentrating. And she is an absolute student of the game, and it totally comes across.
I'm fascinated to see if she plays on Friday as well, because she took quite a bashing, and it'll be interesting to see how her elbow and her arm have held out, and also maybe if she is okay, if Middleton actually decides, do you know what, I don't need to see you go again. I don't need to put you through the washing machine. Maybe have a rest. She'll hate that, but maybe it is a chance to try out someone else. Because let's face it, the back five for England, it's spoiled. They've got so many riches there.
What do you want to keep? Yeah, what would you do? What's he going to do? Just is he going to rest people? What's going to happen?
I don't know. We'll ask him at the press conference on Wednesday, Ali.
No, I'm really asking Rachel. What she? Is this a time to rest players, or is this a time players want to go again?
No, I think they'll want to go again because they know they didn't perform very well. I would like to see him start Poppy again and give her that second opportunity to keep backing up her performance. I don't know what he might do, but I would have thought players will want to play. They've got to start working out what that backline combo is.
And I also think there's the psychological element of it all. England have got the wood on France and have done for some time. You want to lose that when they're in the same pool, or do you want to keep hammering that point home? You want to keep beat them this week, beat them next Six Nations. going into that World Cup for. I think it's a consideration. But yeah, I think it'll come down to physicality and just how battered and bruised they are come this week.
And
Fascinating stuff.
Rachel, can I ask you, building into a World Cup, the big thing was always you beat New Zealand because the RFU would sort out a few fixtures and it'd be fantastic. Everyone would be absolutely buzzing. The World Cup would come round. You'd meet New Zealand and they'd beat you. How are you feeling about that prospect at the moment, both perhaps with France and New Zealand going on to face England? Because I know the RFU are furiously at the moment trying to find England better fixtures for the autumn because the home nations just aren't cutting it. They're not tough enough for them. They need to get other teams in. Do you think it'll be New Zealand, and do you think that's a mistake again?
It's massive. I think, historically, when we've won all of our games and then we go to a World Cup, we come up short because we haven't been in those tough games or we haven't lost a game to then work things out. The year we won it, we lost to France in the Six Nations. We lost to New Zealand. So, it's really important that they find fixtures that really, really test them. But at the same time, they've got to find what that team is, that 1 to 15 is, to then go and test them. Because if there's so much chop and change, then you're going to end up going into a World Cup year without having a consistent side. And that counts for so much. It really does.
No,
that's why the Six Nations wasn't good, right? Because England, there's no preparation for a World Cup playing and hammering teams by 50, 60 points. And that's not the conversation we're going to have today, but that's why the tournament's got to do something and change things. Because if you were England right now, or the RFU, and you're the French Federation, you'd be much better off just playing France 4 times in the same window than, beating team 60-0 or whatever it is. So it's very interesting what happens next for England. Yeah.
That's why the passion knowledge that's knocking around, we could talk even just about Friday's fixture or the Six Nations for the next 3.5 months, but we can't do that. I'm conscious that we've all got jobs, or you three have all got jobs to get to in the morning. 3 things. I'm just going to do 3 things quick fire on the top of your head. 3 things we must see in next year's Six Nations. Rachel Burford.
All the games on Terrestrial, not on Red Button. Ali, you go.
Oh, nice. Yeah, round a little circle like that. Okay, yeah.
Big Super Saturday grand finale.
Yeah.
Sara.
It's got to be away from the men's. I'll be honest, I don't mind when, but it can't be played at the same time as the men's Six Nations anymore.
Rachel.
Oh, was that our 3? I thought that was our 3.
I was doing 3 each. Oh, you want to do 3 in total? Fair enough. That's fine.
I think there's 3 pretty good ones and big ones.
I think you've hit all the points that we wanted to there. No, absolutely. Brilliant. Ladies, thank you so much. It's been really, really good fun and chatting around it. And that is a decent team. And I shall take a little photograph now and send it over to Simon Middleton and show him just how poor his backline is and just how harsh Sara's been on all his players. No, I'm joking. It's been great fun.
All that great access you've been getting,
yes,
is no longer going to exist.
No more.
Sara's never going to let you interview her again.
Sorry, Scars.
No, absolutely great fun. Really, really enjoyed doing these. Ali, Donnelly, thank you very, very much. Real pleasure. Sara Orchard, thank you very much for joining us on this one and rattling through that team. And we will get that up and out to everyone. And enjoy the rest of your evenings. And thank you very much for your company tonight.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for everything you're doing for women's rugby. We love it.
Thank you very much. Right back at you. Not much news this week outside of the Six Nations. Let's wrap it up for you.
Yes, well, we want to wish all the best to all the female applicants for the World Rugby Executive Committee. Christina Flores from Rugby Americas North and Ada Milbury from Asia Rugby. The candidate who receives the most votes will be elected, and that will be on the 12th of May.
A big up to Lebanon Rugby, who are getting back to rugby, celebrating that, and they kicked off their season with a couple of games of women's 7. So great to see rugby starting back up in Lebanon.
Yes, and some Allianz news from Bristol Bears. New head coach Dave Ward, ex-Quins player coach at Anfield, has been named as the Bristol Bears coach for 2021 and 2022 season. Congratulations to Dave, my old schoolmate.
Oh, really? Explains a lot. Can you see potentially a his and her coaching ticket? Have you had a little word with Abby? Make sure she's not going anywhere.
Oh, she's deep in Six Nations prep. She won't even be thinking about it.
Not what I'd heard. No, I'm joking. That's utter speculation, everyone. No,
Rumor mill.
Yeah. Let's chuck it on. And then just to finish up, let's have some shout out. Sean Moore, the Wales scrum half, now lead coach, I believe, at Worcester Warriors. Doing some good things there. And Phil Lewis selected for Wales rugby league squad of 36. Both dual internationals. How about a cross-code game? Ooh, like Bath Wigan. No. And that's a test match against England on the 25th of June. How'd you get on with your last round of your pipe predictor, Burf?
Wow, I think I finished quite strong. Round.
Yeah, you were very strong. Yeah, the strong. You were top for round 4.
I'll take
very,
that.
Very good. But when you start from 438, you only managed to drag yourself up to, where were you now? It doesn't even say here. I don't think the person who's popped the notes together can actually count went that far down. What I can tell you is Dylan Patel topped the Women's Rugby Pod League. Well done to Dylan Patel. Dylan, get in touch. We have got a little treat for you to say congratulations. It may be a treat, maybe torture, but either way, it'll be exciting. But yeah, do get in touch, Dylan, and we will let the rest of you listeners know what that little treat was once Dylan has done that. John Maxwell was second, with yours truly just nipping onto the podium. In the Legends League, our guest Sara, we should probably check with her, shouldn't we? I wonder where she finished. Way below, even Rocky Clark. Tucked in just behind Rocky. It's not a bad place to be, though, to be fair. Rocky's in 9th, Sara in 10th. Despite your strong finish, Burf, in that league, 5th was your final placing in that one. Again, I managed to squeeze onto the podium with Kerry Large.
Giving it large.
Yeah, absolutely. Whoop to Kerry. I think she was 5th overall in the sort of 1,000+ people that did it. So fair play to her. And Jackie Shields was 2nd. So well done, the ladies. Best male predictor in England. Thank you very much. Gary Street was chipping away, or less so now. In the fantasy, he's a little bit more quiet now. In the fantasy league, Burf 9th. I was just behind you. I just did that, but
behind though.
The pipe predictor. You're so far behind that I just wanted to just make sure you just had a little nugget. Emerson, well done. Emerson Wood, well done for completing that. The only reason we're saying all that, listeners, is because he's one of the team here. Sarah BW was 2nd. Garnet McKinder was in 3rd. So well done to all of them. That is brilliant. Emerson, we have got a brand new bright yellow Lamborghini for you. So, yeah, do get in touch and we'll get that over to you.
The toy version. It's about this big.
Yeah. Well, Lego, actually. But, yeah, let's not split hairs.
God, do Lego do Lamborghinis now?
You're straight on to Lego, aren't you?
Oh,
sorry, Mitsubishi. Off you go. That draws us to the end of another brilliant podcast, even if we do say ourselves. But it's always been great in the company of Sara and Ali, 2 ladies with incredible passion for the game. And yes, if the organisers in and around the tournament want a few suggestions, then just listen to those points made at the end there of what should happen to the Women's Six Nations. But look, get in touch. Let us know what you thought was good, bad about the Six Nations. And where can everybody do that, Burf?
Yeah, all across social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at Pod Women's Rugby. You can get in touch, slide into the old DMs or just drop us a comment. That'd be great.
Indeedy so. Thank you much, as you say, to Ali Donnelly from Scrum Queens for this combined show of the Women's Six Nations, to BBC Five Live's Sara Orchard, as ever, to Rugby Nut, to Sean, to Wizzy, Jenny and Harry, and I suppose we have to thank Emerson as well and congratulate him on his Fantasy League win.
Don't be bitter, Johnny. Don't be bitter. Be better.
It's all about the match predictor. It's all about the match point predictor. That's where the real genius is. And look, we'll be back next week.
Until next time.